Oh yeah, dog food. Welcome to another episode of Dog Food News. This time we're going to dive into the comic Project Coloring Book number 3. So what I have on my screen right now, which you should be looking at, is the PDF version of Project Coloring Book number 3. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip through so that you can see what's inside of it. And then I'm also going to be talking about different stuff associated with Project Coloring Book in general, and then number 3, and then the different components that are inside of it. So if you just want to, read, you can certainly, mute me and just pause the screen so you can read what's in there. If you like what you see, please take some time to go to my Ko-Fi store and pick up a copy, either the PDF or a zine version. I really do appreciate it if you could throw me some cash because it took some time to make this thing. So anyway, Project Coloring Book number 3. As the name would indicate, it is the third book in the series. Project Coloring Book is a series that I use to explore different things. Some of the titles are semi-autobiographical, others are more experimental. I have created some 24-hour comics that way and then released them under the title. But this particular issue is a return for me to comic books. This particular story, the first story that's in this book, is called Wait. And the first 3 kind of pages here were created back in back at the turn of the century. So 1999, 2000, 2001. I was in college at the time, and I was not in an art-related field, but I still felt the urge to create comics. And so what I wanted to do was to take some time and make a comic. And I actually had just finished Eanes, I believe, although Eanes might have been a little bit before that. But anyway, Wait was going to be my epic masterpiece. It was going to be something like 84 pages of existential dread, in which you end up having a protagonist undergo a magical transformation. Now, the first 3 pages set on my shelf for a number of years, and I unfortunately didn't really do a whole lot with it. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that I didn't really feel like I wanted to spend all the time it would take to do 84 pages of existential dread, because who in their might who in their might who in their right mind would want to do that? So it just kind of sat there and it gathered dust, even though I had written pretty much the entire script. There are portions that were kind of like, fill in later on because it would end up having kind of these philosophical truths revealed over time. And recently, this past year, I decided that I wanted to go ahead and kind of finish this story because I felt like it was something that was holding me back. It was something that if I could just complete this story, I could get back into creating things again after having a very dry spell for a long period of time. So that's what happened here. And so I went back through and I said, how can I condense the story that I wanted to tell in Wait into something that's a little bit more manageable? And so I ended up creating the new kind of script here, using some of the original artwork and some of the original ideas, and took it and condensed it down into 15 pages. This page that I'm looking at right now is the sequence where is getting on the elevator over and over and over and over again. And that is what would end up taking up the bulk of the 84-page mega story, plus the days in between where pieces of knowledge are dropped. But of course, like I said, I didn't want to do 84 pages of that. So uh, this is where the kind of story kind of departs from what was originally created. And he goes into this dream sequence. There was supposed to be a dream sequence over time within the original comic of Wait, but this one condenses it down quite a bit. And so, he has various sort of dreams over time, but he ends up being visited by knowledge. And so here he's being uh, gobbled up by a book, and with that ends up taking him and pushes him into a completely new realm. And so he awakens, transformed into something that he doesn't recognize. So you can end up looking at this and say, "Hey, this is a reverse Kafka's metamorphosis," and that's fair. Um, and that's kind of the point, right? And so he ends up saying, "Okay, well, I've got to deal with this in some way, but it doesn't really matter because I've got to go to work." So he tries his best to do just that, but he can't function. And so he ends up discovering that there is this body that's laying in the floor. This is actually a shout out to Eanes, if anyone is familiar with that. But so he ends up grabbing the book, and in that moment, he is completely transformed, and all of the information that had been locked away over the years of being trapped inside of the corporate office, and that the truth is revealed to him, and in that the messenger has delivered the message, and the messenger has disappeared. And then you end up saying, what it is that he was looking at whenever he became, or whenever he kind of like reawoken. And so on this page is kind of a a segue into the second portion of Project ColoringBook. Because with the original story of Wait, it was going to contain various and assorted philosophical and magical truths that I would discover over time, or that the character would discover over time. Of course, I am the character, but that was another big blocker to the original idea of the larger form graphic novel, was that at the time, did I have enough of what I would consider to be truth to share in a long form graphic novel? I mean, even at this point, I don't think I have something that can be shared over long form graphic novel, but I think I have, some insights that are, somewhat compelling. And so that's what this second portion of Project ColoringBook is it's me having articulated in written word these ideas that I would transform into a book about equilibrium. And so, in long term, perhaps there will be an actual book of equilibrium, but until then, you just have these little excerpts. Um, and so the first experiment here is for you to stare at the blank page until you discover God for yourself. Just go ahead. I'll wait. Then it gets into kind of some ideas that I have about our obsession with words, and how what I refer to as logopathology has kind of taken hold of us and made us do certain things. And it's largely about how words and kind of concepts are placed over top of immediate experience within our society, um, and how all of those things are fabrications, and it cannot really replace that immediate experience, and how when you start thinking about what it is that you're thinking, you may find that those thoughts and those words are guiding you towards something that is not necessarily for your benefit or anyone else's benefit, in a way that is actually beneficial, but rather you're just being manipulated. Then I get into kind of this work that I've been uh, doing with experiential um, astrology. I'm still working through some of this, but these are my initial thoughts on it. It is a year-long operation, and I'm approximately about halfway done with this, so I plan on revisiting this idea at some point. Um, so it talks about how to go about creating your own fractozodiacal harmonoresonicizer. Yeah, it's ridiculous. But talks about going through things and using um, the the zodiac and the moon cycles to create basically a productivity system that gives you kind of like monthly intervals that end up being broken up by the quarters for you to review rather than doing like weekly reviews or monthly reviews. And each of those months that you are doing that in, you're talking about different lunations. Each lunation is going to have a different flavor based on where that lunation sits within your house system. And so it ends up being this hyper personalized magical productivity system that integrates itself into whatever it is that you're trying to do creatively. And I've been kind of working with this, and it's been pretty interesting. Um, but that's actually all there is in Project ColoringBook. This about page does talk about what it is and a little bit about the Wait comic. Oh, sorry, 64 pages, not 84. Well, either way, it doesn't matter because it didn't get created that way. Um, yeah, so yeah, hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think about this comic. And if you feel inspired, please go ahead and pick up a copy. I would love to send out a printed zine copy to you. Um, the zine versions do not have the black, mostly black cover. It is an inverted um, cover, and the back cover, which you're looking at here, would be a self-addressed mailer, or actually just a mailer with the stamps on it. So the zine version is not necessarily for collection. If you are interested in a collectible version of this, I am offering a very limited edition of 10 copies for $100 each. Each one of those is going to have a unique cover that I hand print and embellish and perhaps draw on and do all sorts of crazy stuff. But it's the artifact edition, also available on the coffee site. So yeah, check that out. Leave me a comment, give me a like, hit me up with a sub. All of the things, and don't forget to live, breathe, create. Thank you, and have a good week.